Thank you for tuning in to an episode of Shot Caller Records podcast. This one will be all about Majorlaan's debut EP titled Willfully Obtuse. It was just released on June 1st on Shot Caller Records. This first song is called Rebuild. It's the first song off the EP, and I hope you enjoy.
Awesome, guys. So we have Steve and Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
And Devon. Who was your bass player? What's his name?
His name's Valor. He's no longer in the band.
Oh, okay.
We're in the process of looking for reinforcements, looking for some new 4-string action. Yeah. So if anyone's interested in playing some excellent rock and roll, get in touch, man.
Cool.
We're looking for people. We're looking for good men and or women
to join your army. So I'm going to start out with saying, is there a military background in any of you here? Because you've definitely used some military imagery. in the cover of the EP, Willfully Obtuse.
Yeah. I was a scout, like I was a Cub Scout and Scout when I was younger. I was briefly in cadets for like a couple weeks, but then I was like, this sucks.
Devin was in cadets for a good while.
Devin was a cadet.
He's told us about that quite a bit. So none of us have personally served in any like proper armed force, but yeah, like my grandfather was in the Navy for many, many years, and like going back in my family and on my other grandfather's side, he was a radio operator in the Second World War. So like there's just military history kind of all through our backgrounds, and it's also just been a serious great-grandfather. It's been a serious personal interest for both of us.
Yeah. Also, it's just really representative, I think, of like our kind of attempted like take on the brand of like Canadiana. Because like all our images that we use, like those boys are the Winnipeg.
That's the Royal Winnipeg Rifles.
Yeah, the boys on the cover of Willfully Obtuse, and the boys that we used on the cover for the single when we did Canadian Math were.
I forget.
I think they were Manitoban.
Yeah, they might have been some like Princess Patricia's, but it's hard to say with a lot of those photos, like especially because guys, they get uniforms torn up, unit markings kind of get mixed around. Maybe
we do our best to source the photos though, just so that we can know. All of them are Canadian like archive photos. So. But kind of like the background of Majorlaan. Do you want to explain it, Steve?
Like the name of the band, why we as a bunch of Canadians have chosen a strange Dutch word. It's in honor of Leo Major, who's a soldier in the Second World War, Canadian soldier, who essentially through like a day or so of being an absolute lunatic and running around by himself in the Dutch town of Zwolle, he essentially single-handedly convinced the Germans to retreat out of the city. Like just by starting fires and throwing grenades in places and like attacking groups of officers.
Apprehended
like
the SS officer in charge of the whole garrison of troopers there in a bar and was like, hey, we're going to shell you. He bluffed. He was like, Canada's going to shell you and we're like invading the city. And then he ran through the streets throwing grenades and meeting up with Dutch resistance members.
And this was all because of like he was just supposed to be a reconnaissance mission. He was out there with his buddy Willie Arsenault, who early in this mission got sighted by some German machine gunners and taken out. And Leo was just like, no, I ain't having this.
He's on record as saying, that was the moment where I was like, they have to pay now.
Yeah, it was probably in French because he was from Quebec.
Yeah.
He went at them and he essentially captured that machine gun post. And then was kind of sighted and fired upon by some other Germans while he was escorting those prisoners back, and so he captured them. And then this kind of just turned into like he basically just got on a roll and probably like didn't feel the need to stop, because why would you? If every like German who stands before you on this night of rampage is just like throwing their hands up and be like, yeah, I'm done, take me in, you keep going.
Just kept going.
Just got to keep going. And so
by the morning, he had liberated the whole of Zwolle.
And to this day, there is a street in Zwolle called Leo Majorlaan that is in his honor, and because they credit him single-handedly with freeing them from German occupation.
That is so cool. Is this an obscure story, or do most Canadians know about this guy?
It's coming into light now, actually.
Yeah,
we're seeing stuff on YouTube about it suddenly, and people are talking about him more.
There's one French-language documentary that exists about it.
Relatively obscure as far as, like, if you're not Canadian or overly interested in military history, maybe you wouldn't know about him at all. But he did a lot of crazy stuff, and that's just one of them. He's credited for like hundreds. I think somewhere over 200 personal captures, like prisoners that he captured. Like he captured 93 in one day. And before this,
he went on to serve in Korea and do a bunch of increasingly nutty shit there. There's a story of him calling in artillery on troops who were attacking his position. And the radio operator, the artillery officer on the other end, eventually, like, he hears explosions in the background, and he gradually realizes, those are my rounds. This man is calling in artillery less than 50 yards from his own position, And like with pinpoint accuracy being like, yes, they're in a bunker at this point, and artillery gets fired there because, Canadian artillery, or they might have been British, but either way, pretty top quality.
And they took like a key hill because of that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They took back from like imminent capture a key position. So kind of like his like message of like duty in the absolute face of destruction, like against all odds, and like the message of brotherhood, I think is kind of Steve was the one who came
crazy
up
inspiring
with the idea.
Right. So yeah, I see. Gosh, someone should do a movie about this guy. If maybe someone's written a screenplay already, probably.
That's the thing. Who would believe it? You can't put it based on a true story at the top of this movie.
Like, he killed basically... I don't think he really killed anybody that night.
Like, there were definitely engagements.
There were shootouts, but he captured everyone. He captured the whole garrison. He single-handedly... Like, he really just got this guy while his pants were down in a bar, took his gun away from him, and then was like, here's your gun back. Get lost.
Yeah, we've got a massive army. If you want you and your soldiers to live, take them and go.
Yeah, he bluffed, and it just won. He worked.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for enlightening me. That is an absolutely fascinating story, and it explains the band name. We are talking with Steve and Gordon from Majorlaan. That is how you pronounce it, right? Majorlaan.
That's the Dutch pronunciation. Yeah. We kind of we
Anglophiled it.
Yeah.
Like, essentially, I don't know, because a lot of people are like coming at us with the correct pronunciation,
and we're kind of like, we didn't anticipate this.
We just got away with it because Majorlaan just kind of it snaps, it flows right off the tongue, and like, I don't know, the fact that it's double A's, you lean them together, it looks good. It's
the two A's make good symmetry. You get the lane between the two A's, like awesome.
And then it's a pun.
Yeah, and it's fun. There you go.
Of course. So. We should talk, and we're talking about military and the crazy stuff that happens out in the war zone. Well, something crazy happened to you guys before this interview. You want to fill us in there?
Well, see, I am pretty much responsible for our lovely drummer, Devin Waynes, not being with us today. We were on our way to pick him up from his place out in Glen Valley, and... I took a corner a little bit too fast in my '96 Corolla.
Coming on Highway 1.
Yeah, on a bit of a rainy day, and she started slipping a little bit. I felt those wheels starting to go. Tried correcting the other way, and then met the left side concrete barrier at I don't know. We were going like maybe 50 kph forward, but maybe like 20 sideways. We're fine.
Yeah, we're okay. I was on the phone with Devin, like, hey, man, we're on our way to pick you up.
Yeah.
And he heard
the crash.
Like, all he heard, he says, was, like, electronic glitching sounds. As, like, was like, the words I said to him was, hold on a second, we're crashing. I'll call you back. And I hung up. And like I see the tire go flying. We hit the barricade side on.
Mm-hmm.
I quickly both of us assess like, okay, we're okay. Steve hops out the side. I see the back left tire go flying. It's like rolling ahead of us. It's totally snapped off the axle.
Yeah. And the rear left wheel ends up like 20 yards ahead of us.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm really glad that we're okay. Like, a little bit of soreness. Like, I kind of banged my arm to the door a little bit, but nothing too major. We didn't hit anyone else. We didn't cause too much of an obstacle.
Lots of people drove by making like ooh faces.
Yeah, and 2 people stopped for us. So shout out to those guys.
Shout out those dudes we saw.
Yeah, they were very very nice, and we were able to get like a tow truck out there pretty quickly. And I got $50 for the car. Yep, same tow shop who sold us the car.
Well, you guys are troopers for being here. You have a military theme, and you've stuck at it, and you're at this interview, so I think that's fantastic.
It's all on me. I forgot about the rain. I wasn't thinking. We were talking to Devin. We were excited about like this interview. I was thinking ahead.
Yeah.
And I should have been thinking about the road underneath me.
It's a lesson.
If there's any lesson the people at home are going to take away from this, let it be that one.
Yeah.
So you formed the band in Langley, British Columbia?
Well, we're spread out a little bit. I personally live in New West. we practice at Gordon's place in Langley, which is essentially why we call ourselves a Langley band.
Yeah, it started kind of in the shit.
Yeah, Devin lives in Glen Valley, so yeah, we're all over the place and have to. Well, until recently, we're having to bum rides to get around, and then now even more recently, we have to get back to it.
Yeah.
And can you tell me one interesting thing about Langley, British Columbia?
Ooh. This doesn't look good, Steve.
It's kind of like a boring, like it's half a boring farm community and half just a slightly underwhelming just small town. Like it's not small enough to be like a nice small town, but it's not big enough to be anything really a city. It's almost not big enough to have an identity, but it definitely does have one.
I think what's interesting about it is how hard people are trying to like plow the farmland, which I would say is its good quality, is the nice farmland that exists there.
Mm-hmm.
And like just so many apartment blocks are going up, and it's trying so desperately to just be like, yes, we're on board with this Metro Vancouver thing. Please give us a SkyTrain.
Yeah, like those farms being in that position are like the reason we still have reasonably affordable produce in this area.
Yeah, but they're slowly, everything's getting taken down.
But that's just my inner caterer coming out.
Thank you.
Something interesting that isn't like, could be viewed negatively.
Yeah, that isn't just kind of dropping the elbow.
I do like living in Langley, but it's beautiful. I think you get a beautiful view of Mount Baker basically anywhere you go.
Mm-hmm. And like people really care about like their homes and the areas around them.
Yeah, like there's a pretty strong sense of community if you're in a like community that's your houses aren't far enough apart where you're not talking to each other whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. You'll see a lot of people who definitely put a lot of work into like their little farms or their little businesses that they've got going on properties there, and I like seeing stuff like that.
Excellent. And so the band itself, how long have you been around for?
2018 we released our first song together, and that was when it was just Steve and I.
Yeah. And so before
that we were just like ideas.
We've been banging around like that song and one or two others for maybe like 4 or 5 months before that. Yeah. Something like that.
I think we probably Canadian Math.
Yeah, Canadian, our first single. And that was quite a fun little project to put together, just us scrapping it out in that garage, the same garage that we recorded our new EP in. That was Levi helping us out doing the production on that.
Oh yeah, shout out Levi, the homeboy, the man, the myth, the legend. He's really cool.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, he's just like another one of the inner circle of good friends of ours.
He's
got us off the ground. He's like single-handedly responsible for that being recorded and like giving us the fire under our ass to just be serious enough to finish it.
Yeah, that was his microphones for that session, which he then gave to us.
It was like spur of the moment, where he was like, boys, I'm gonna just come over. I really want to record something. Do you guys want to record Majorlaan? And I was like, I'll talk to Steve. And Steve was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, 2 days over the course of like 8 hours, we recorded this. Got it pretty nice. And then, Levi, being the eternal bro that he is, just leaves us these super awesome microphones when he moves back to Vernon.
And he fronted a bunch of the money for our T-shirts.
Yeah, he did too.
So he's been
he's a super huge bro. Like massive bro.
Massive. Excellent.
He's got a SoundCloud. He does his own music too, so check him out.
What's his SoundCloud?
I believe it's Levi Peter. Let me confirm.
I mean, drop a big shout out to our boy because he makes some really intriguing beats. Like he comes out with good stuff.
Yeah, he's got that new age style.
And it's so great. It warms my heart to hear that sort of support.
Levi Peter on SoundCloud. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. Levi Peter at SoundCloud. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. How about the song here? It's got a very curious title, Captain Boastful in the World of Action.
Oh, yes. There's a great story for this song.
That title was gifted to me by someone I was talking to on a singing forum, where essentially they had made this big, long, rambling post talking sort of about singing technique and essentially their broad spectrum throughout this many paragraphs of divergent and confusing dialogue. Their point was that like people on this forum don't understand how to teach singing properly, and I have the right ideas, and here they are, and you should listen to me. But it was so buried in all of this nonsense. And I left what I thought was a pretty innocuous comment, just kind of being like, yo, like, you've got some good points in here. Like, this stuff you're saying, X, Y, and Z, like, this is correct. But I had to dig through all of this stuff to get to it. If you want to be taken seriously as, like, one of the better educators on this forum, which you clearly want to do, you gotta tighten it up a little bit. You gotta clear out the, like, middle of paragraph 3 where you're talking about, like, your car and, like, milk and something. Like, I don't know what's going on. And they responded with, I think I can remember it verbatim. So, where's your singing tutorial, Mr. Captain Boastful in the World of Action?
Oh, beautiful title.
And I'm just like, ah!
Guy's precedent for, like, I'm right, all of you should listen to me, was he had a bunch of YouTube videos detailing operatic vocal stylings and
also a lot of conspiracy theory shit
and a lot of weird conspiracy theory stuff. We won't talk about that.
Yeah. But it was very funny when I did check out his YouTube channel. It's like, okay, there is some like he is an accredited teacher. He was like posted at a music school for some time. I don't know if he's still with them or was at the time that this discussion occurred, but the point is, like, he had proven credentials. and informational stuff on his YouTube channel. And then I scroll down and it's like, okay, that's what that video is about. All right, moving on. And yeah, so a couple of us just kind of clowned on this guy in that thread for a while, because that's just kind of what you do when you find someone who's that willing to engage and that willing to be just like irrational and insulting, and when you're willing to take it as non-seriously as I am, just have fun and take what you can from it. Like this beautiful, beautiful name that was like, it fit pretty much perfectly with like a lot of the stuff that I was thinking about and writing about at the time, in terms of thinking about like the value of self-sacrifice and like how far it is worthwhile to push yourself when confronting various things, and like this, like the necessity of pushing yourself and doing slightly attention-seeking perhaps, or grandiose things with the intent of getting your point across. Like
someone's got to do it. I'm going over first. You guys better follow.
Like it's kind of like the well-behaved women stereotype or things like that. Like people who just quietly go about their business with good ideas don't typically get those ideas like followed. You kind of got to make a bit of noise, drum up some support to get movement happening behind even genuinely like revolutionary ideas. There still has to be someone who's willing to be that firebrand, who's willing to like take the fall if it goes wrong, or like just kind of be that catalyst.
Yeah, so Captain Peaceful in a way kind of became like a pseudo mascot to us in the band. Like we personify him as like a cape wearing, like
eye patch
wearing, like helmeted,
like a golden age superhero, the kind of guy who would like go across and punch Hitler in the face.
So, sorry, who's that? Cameron? Oh,
yeah. Who? Oh no, that's not this Cameron. It's a different Cameron, I think.
Okay, so we should say to the listeners, so we are also joined now by Cameron Catalano, who recorded the EP. Cameron, you are there, right?
I am here.
You are. So, yeah. Do you want to let us know a little bit about your involvement? First of all, how did you get to know Steve and Gordon? How did you all come together?
Well, Gordon is my cousin, so I've known him since he was born. so it's been sort of exciting to watch his progression as a musician, and we've crossed paths a number of times throughout that time and played music together or listened to music together, and we usually only just talk about music. So
I think I should state just quickly before you go on, Cameron's like among my personal influences, my father Cameron and his brother Evan were like my and my grandfather were my influences to like get really serious about music. So
yeah, totally. Like I've always done music throughout my whole life. Like it's been a perpetual constant, and so I like ran a recording studio for a while, and I've been a part of a number of recordings and albums, and part of probably 10 bands over the years, and the last probably 4 or 5 years I started doing improvisation along with live performers for live like comedy shows. So I probably did about 100 with a bassist and a pianist over the past few years, and that's sort of been one of my musical outlets. And for the last 3 years or so, I've been doing film scores. So I'm actually doing a film score that's a Christmas movie right now, and just had to buy some sleigh bells during quarantine to to make everything sound Christmassy.
So Christmas in July, perhaps, because that's
So I just first drafted the score last night. I've been working on it for about a month. So
cool.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. So anyways,
yeah, you played a bit of that score for us. It was really, really good.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I got to write a country Christmas song in this one. I played some steel guitar, which is something I don't normally break out, but
yeah.
But the sort of the start of the recording was the guys played at the Roxy Majorlaan played a show at the Roxy in late December, and I was there, and I was like, yeah, they're ready to record. So I offered to record them after the show, and we finally were able to coordinate it for, I think it was it February 21st or February 4th? February 4th.
Yeah, February.
It was mid-February.
Yeah.
And then that, so I, from my old studio, I still have all the gear, so I haven't broken it out much in the last few years. So it was nice to set everything up and sling a bunch of mics around and just capture the guys live off the floor. So,
oh, great.
That was a really fun session.
So basically the process is I just mic'd everything up. I think I had 13 or 14 mics on them, and they just ran through their set 5 times.
Yep.
Yeah, and then after we'd gone through that, I edited together segments of the takes, so that to generate perfect takes of each of the songs, or as close to perfect as possible.
We were definitely interested in like retaining the kind of rough garage feel, just because
that live garagey.
Especially with I feel like a lot of themes we're talking about, too much polish can kind of come off as like dishonest. At least it does to me sometimes. So definitely hearing a couple of guitar noises in there, hearing just kind of the big crushing swells that happen when it's just like a whole room full of instruments bouncing off one another like that.
Yeah,
that stuff is really important to me to keep that energy.
It does sound fantastic on earphones too. I went for a walk around the neighborhood with my phone, and it sounds great. So well done to everyone involved.
Yeah, big thank you to Cameron, because that was heroic tier.
And then so after I'd spent a couple weeks editing it, I sent it off to my brother Evan, who did most of the mixing, and then I finalized it with doing a nice mastering sheen over top of it, and then that was that, pretty much. So yeah, it was a nice sort of quarantine project while everybody was locked up. We had some live music. We're really fortunate to have gotten the chance to record just before people weren't allowed to be in the same room together.
Of course, yeah.
So
yeah, we've been getting some really great feedback from the record so far, and just having an example of our music that sounds this good is really, really satisfying in a way I don't properly have words for.
Yeah, it's the cohesive presentation of our ideas. It's I guess what it feels like to release music, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's the first of a lot of releases to come. I am curious, is this a taste for a full length that might be out sometime soon, or that's too far to say?
Well, we've got a couple more tunes that need to be polished out, and now a 4-string slinger to find before we can really get that done, because we want to have that full creative input of a multitude of people in a room bouncing ideas off one another, jamming things, because that's how these songs came together and became what they are. Is I might have come up with chord progressions and structures, but they weren't songs until weeks of jamming them and working it out and bringing in different ideas.
Yeah.
Typical Majorlaan song process is Steve's got a cool riff going on, and I'm like, whoa, I hear some hooks. And I start jamming around with him.
Yeah,
I mouth guitaring to him.
I play chords that hurt my hands.
Yeah.
Now,
but they don't hurt my soul.
But sorry, just real quick to cap off that. Basically, we had the talk where we were okay, we could record theoretically, we could record without finding another member, but it is very important to us to have that everybody in the same room, everybody feeding off of the energy of the jam, and the input of everyone to be hey, this sounds good when this happens, and what if I were to do this when you guys do this, and it kind of locks this in. That's really important. That's what cool songwriting. I think that's how you produce cool songs.
Also, we're just not that great bass players.
I don't know. I play bass like a guitar. Valor was really, really good at that. I'm a mediocre at that. Valor was it's big shoes to fill.
So yeah, we are guitarists who would be playing bass. We want a bass player.
Yeah.
And that is, some people would argue with me about making that distinction, but I think there's value to it, to an extent. Once you get experienced enough in music, it's all just music. But we're young guys. People who would be joining this band are young guys. Yeah. We're just happy to be doing this and happy to have this to show to people, have this to be proud of.
Well, it's a real treat to chat with you guys and air the tracks on the show here. Who is Hilda Hay? I see this.
Hilda.
Yes. On your Bandcamp, it says that Hilda was on gang vocals on at least one of the tracks.
Yeah.
So Hilda and my grandmother actually. Okay, so Hilda is one of my childhood friends.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, and little do we know, Steve went to school with her way back when through the various alternate programs we kind of intersected.
I recognize you. I recognize you.
But yeah, no, Hilda, childhood friend of mine, grew up on the same street with her. Hung out all the freaking time, very cool friend. And my grandma dropped us off because my grandma's freaking awesome at Cam's house to do the vocal takes because we went to Cam's place, did the vocals in the hallway, did the vocals separately. Then
we did them a week once I'd edited everything together. Then we put the vocals on once the takes were defined. Once everyone was happy with the flow of the instrumentals.
Yeah. But yeah, Hilda heard my gran was in town, I guess, or my gran stopped by somehow. I don't actually remember. One way or another.
Grandma stopped by.
Yeah, they got just in contact. And gran brings Hilda over, and we're just about to do the gang vocal section, with the sickening crack shout from Captain Boastful. And yeah, it was just like, Hilda, do you want to shout with us? And she was like, yeah. So
gang vocals is always so much fun.
Gang vocals are great.
So you're just shouting.
Credit every one of your friends.
And you can call it music.
Yeah.
Metal bands across the world.
Yes. And now some more information here at Majorlaan Bandcamp. You've got some of your Canadian influences. Well, actually, a lot of your influences, Canadian and non-Canadian. You've got Sloan here. The Plodes, you've got Dinosaur Jr. I'm curious, do you guys have any favorite Australian bands? And now, if you say the obvious ones like AC/DC and NXS, I will judge you.
We love the chats. We love the chats so much.
Great.
Is King Gizzard an obvious one? Because that's what I thought you were going to say.
No, but I'll let you go with that one. That's all right.
Okay, I like King Gizzard a lot. Shit, man. I like a lot of Australian black metal. That's the thing.
Right.
But yeah, no. Do you have any poppin' new recommendations on the scene?
Geez. Well, the chats is the obvious one. Yeah.
Yeah, the chats.
There's too much. Because I'm constantly playing this stuff on the show. I can't think of one immediate one to pop into my head. Actually, hang on. There's this really cool power pop band that I played last week, and I'm going to bring them up. They're called the Stroppies. That's it.
Ooh, that is a good name.
Yeah, they're a 3-piece, the Stroppies. I'd recommend checking them out if you're into sort of power pop, modern day sort of power pop.
Oh, certainly.
So there's one off the top of my head. And actually, I'm going to send you a link after this to a band that I thoroughly recommend for a military theme. They're called the Mark of Cain, and they're a 3-piece. And the guitarist and bass player are brothers, and they're both engineers who work for the military. And it's heavy as hell and incredibly precise. And you might appreciate the military aesthetic from them. But yeah,
sounds really cool.
Yeah, that sounds rad, dude.
Yeah, they're a legendary Australian heavy band. So yeah, this has been really great chatting with you guys. I should mention that the EP is out on Shot Collar Records. So Cameron's brother, Evan Catalano, also known as Evan Thomas for his music. And yeah, Shot Collar Records, Bandcamp is where you can find it. And also Majorlaan BC Bandcamp.com. And that is MAJORLAAN BC.bandcamp.com. Yeah. And is there anything else you guys wanted to say to the world?
Get ready.
Yeah,
we got more music.
We'd encourage anyone who's just into some good rockin' tunes to give us a listen, to download some tracks if you're into them, and let people know what's going on. And my God, we look so much forward to having some kind of ability to play shows again.
Yeah, give us shows.
Anyone who's ever come to a show, whether it's our current bands or old bands, we love you so much. We miss you.
Yeah.
I miss shows. I miss moshing.
Any one of you I see in the audience, I'm giving you a wink.
But yeah,
big old wink.
Stay safe, drive safe.
And, yes. And yes.
Account for rain.
Much love from Majorlaan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wish you well.
Yeah.
And actually, I do have I do have a recommendation of a song here for you guys to listen to.
Oh, perfect.
Before we go, and I won't tell you how this came to me yet. It will become apparent to you soon. Right. Now, this song is called, well, it's by an artist named Serafino, and it's called Hope Lives, Never Dies. I'm going to play it now, and bear with me. I think I've got to change the audio settings for you to be able to hear this, because I've got to play it off iTunes. Hang on.
Miracles of modern electronics.
Yeah. Oh crap! I don't know. Input. I don't know. I'm just gonna play this to see what happens. Tell me if you can hear this.
Yeah.
No, it's not working.
Oh no.
I'm not sure this Skype has the option to have an alternate audio source.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, Cameron. Yeah.
It has Spotify enabled. Because of course it does.
Well, Cameron, do you wanna let the cat out of the bag on this one?
Yeah, sure. So I covered your song Holland, an acoustic.
Oh, Jesus.
And yeah, I could quickly send it to you guys if you want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably listen to it on Gord's phone or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. I will
play it on air.
I'll just send it to your email, Gord. This can all be edited out.
Yeah.
The process.
Yeah.
We ain't live.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the interviews we're kind of done now, I guess, yeah.
More or less. Do you have any, is there anything else you want to know?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Cam, did you want to say anything more?
Yeah, no, it was just a really, fun process to just engineer somebody else's recordings. And there's always, this additional element that occurs in the recording process where everybody is actually playing together live, and it's such a more of a rare thing nowadays where not everyone's just playing to a click track and just laboring over a guitar solo for 3 days before getting the take that they're happy with. So it's nice to just have fully developed songs to just step into and capture.
And yeah, props to Devin for not needing a click and just being an absolute machine.
A freaking machine.
Yeah, that really allowed me to cut and paste or to edit takes together. And he was so tired by the end.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I used anything from the final round of the fifth takes because everyone was just waiting for the pizza.
Yeah, we ordered pizza. As soon as we knew it was
once the pizza arrived, that was the end of the session.
Yeah, we were greasy fingers, can't play. Sorry, gotta eat.
It's just well, that's 5 takes, one of which was probably a write-off. But it's always the way.
Yeah, that was such a fun experience. Crazy good experience. Can't wait to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Really hope that Cameron will record us again.
Yeah.
I'd love to sling things up, and there's 5 things that I would do completely differently.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's shift over to the release that you're promoting right now. So it's the Willfully Obtuse EP.
Oh yeah.
Majorlaan, and I've been listening to it. Some great indie rock with some excellent riffs, and I absolutely adore the solo on Resilient. Really well done, guys.
We're all really proud of Gordy for that one.
Yeah.
It ties things together in a way, and just like it catches you off guard to a degree, like coming out of the riff that it does, and then it just gets so gloriously 70s and just like soaring. I feel like that's a nice moment to kind of cap out that song.
Yeah.
I just wanted like a Leonard Skinner moment, but I'm not that good. So I did my best to approximate what I believed I could do.
It's called Resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Resilient is one that like it kind of took a little bit longer than some of the other ones to throw together in terms of like it was a collection of riffs. It was just a kind of disparate ideas, and then throughout like one jam session, pretty much like the pieces came together, shit started flowing. Gordon, like, it wasn't that solo, but he started ripping great solos, and it's just like, okay, now this is a structure we need to hold on to. I got lyrics together, which is always a slow process for me. It takes me years sometimes to get things together. Like I've got stuff in my notes right now. You won't be heering that for a decade.
But it's like it's a fine whiskey, you know. Like you wait for it. You're looking at that barrel and you're like, I know.
Mm-hmm. That one, like that song is like really indicative of what I consider to be the theme of a lot of our music, which is like thinking about like personal sacrifice and testing oneself, and like commitment not only to what you believe is right, but to the people who've supported you. And so that's definitely like a big message that I try to put forward, is like there are people who will be like, there are people who will stand up for you, and there are people who will make you pay for that. And it can be really difficult to tell the difference between someone who's punishing you and who's like just struggling themselves, but it's worth the effort, and it's worth hanging on to the people who do follow through on that test, and who do like prove themselves to be, you know, the kind of brother that Gordon is to me.
Oh, that's fantastic. This has been great, guys. And I got to thank you too, because I've been doing this show for a long time, but I stopped doing interviews quite a while ago. And this is the first time I've done one like this. So you've probably restarted this for me. So I really thank you.
Hell yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.